It's a great honor and a privilege to introduce Shmuel Mikulincer. You were born in Czechoslovakia over 100 years ago. Baruch Hashem. And we're here in your beautiful apartment in Yerushalayim. And if you could tell us a little bit about your family and...
Okay. Start out now in English. Okay, my name is Shmuel Mikulincer. The name was escaped in the old times. They took all the young people in Russia to be in the army, and they was in the army about 15, 17 years, everything. So our name was not Mikulincer, it was Lebenswert. Lebenswert. And he escaped, he didn't want to go. My great-grandfather didn't want to go to the army, to the Russian army, so many years. So he escaped from his place and he came to a Jewish community, and he said, I have to change my name because I escaped. I didn't want to go to the Russian army for about 15, 17 years. So the Jewish community asked him, where are you come from? From Mikulincer. I'm from Mikulincer. As your name will be Mikulincer. And he come from this name. And so he changed his name. Not Lebenswert, only Mikulincer. So he had a new name, so they didn't even know about his name, they didn't search him, and they took him to the army. My family, I was born in Czechoslovakia, and Hitler gave this part of Czechoslovakia to Hungary. So we became the citizens of Hungary.
In which town were you born?
Yeah, I was born in Ungvar. Ungvar, the Baal Mechaber של קיצור שולחן ערוך, who was a Dayan in the city of Ungvar. His name was Shlomo Gansfried. If you are looking in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, you see the Baal Mechaber who wrote the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch was Shlomo Gansfried. I knew him personally because with his grandson I went to the same cheder and the same school and the same yeshiva. Yes, so it is Ungvar. Ungvar became afterwards to Hungary. And you know what happened during the Second World War with the Shoah. So they said in Hungary was 800,000 Jews living there. And they nearly 80-90% went to Shoah, to Auschwitz. I didn't, I survived. I didn't went to Auschwitz because my father said that the first things the Hungarian government did, they came to Ungvar, was part of Czechoslovakia, and they say mostly the Jewish people were, they had their own businesses. Like my father had a bakery. So we had a bakery and we had a shop, so we sold our bread and we delivered bread to other shops too. And so the first thing that became, the Jewish people are not allowed to have some business of their own. So my father was a religious Jew with a beard and beard and everything. So he said, I have to take off my beard because I don't get any work with a beard in a bakery. So I told my father, you are not taking your bird, I'm taking my bird and pies, and I will go work instead of you, and you stay with your beard and beard, because he was very religious, very dirty. And so I did. I was looking after work, and it was a bakery who was baking bread for the army. And but there we had to work with it was two shifts, 12 hours was every shift, and I had to work in Shabbat. So I went to the rabbi of the city of Ungvar and then asked him, what shall I do? And he said, you are allowed to work in Shabbat, because if you are working in Shabbat in this bakery, they took all the Jewish people to working labor. If they are taking you, you have to eat their food, and it is trefa. So I allowed to do working in Shabbat, so you can be at home and you can eat kasher. So I was there at home, and I worked in this bakery for the army.
And how old were you at this time?
At that time I could be, I was born in 1921, and this was in 1932, 33.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had to go, and the rabbi allowed me to work on Shabbat, because it was two shifts. Every shift was a shift for 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening, and the other shift from 6 in the evening until 6 in the morning. And I was working there about a year, or more than a year there in this bakery. And so, because I work in this bakery, I had to allowed to be at home. Afterwards, they take all the Jewish people, they take to work labor, and it was not so friendly there.
Pappa, om du börjar gå tillbaka från din barndom, berätta om mamma och pappa. Tell me about your father, your mother.
Yes.
You go back.
My father was very religious, Orthodox, and not only religious, and me too. I was they sent me to the yeshiva in Belz, by the Belz rabbi. So I went to Poland. I had became a visa, and I learned 2 years by the Belz rabbi. Out into the we come home in the summer. We had 1 month free, and then I came home to Ungvar, to Czechoslovakia. It was belonged to Czechoslovakia. I came home, and I was home 1 month, and then we come to the Yamim Noraim. We went back to Belz to be by the Belz rabbi.
Was your family a Hasidic family?
Hasidic family.
But it was a Hasidic family?
Family, yes. My father came from a very religious family. We have the 3 until Russia. Russia, we come from the family from Russia. Yes.
Descendant of Russia?
My other son made the 3 until Russia.
Descendants of
Yes.
Russia. And you remember the Rebbe, the Belzer Rebbe?
Maybe I was there 2 years. I was there in the yeshiva. We met every day by the rabbi, with the Belzer rabbi.
Father, you can tell them about the story when we went to the Belz shul here, and people were so happy that they see someone who knows a real rabbi from the old time,
From
and
the
the
hand.
benches and everything, they have still there, and you remember you were studying there.
I've
You can tell the story.
seen this table there,
Belz.
but I remember from Belz when I was there. I learned 2 years in Belz. The 3rd year I wanted to go back, but it was so critical, they didn't give any visa to go to Poland, because it was 39. It was very critical. So I didn't want more. About 2 years, I was by the Belzer, in the Belzer Yeshiva. I had a beard and beard, and yes.
And Shmuel, did you had sisters? You had your siblings. You had sisters.
Sisters.
Yeah.
Tell me how many
We was 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls, and I have one brother who survived. Yes, because yes, I have a sister survived also, but another sister, because when the Americans came and they were in lager.
in concentration camps.
And in this lager, when the Americans came, they gave them so many meat.
So much.
This was when they liberated.
They was eating too much. They was so hungry, and after 3 days, they get shul and didn't survive.
There's a lot of from
But
after the
another
war.
sister-
Too much more.
But another sister survived. I mean, otherwise, I had an older brother, older sisters, and they was already married, and they had children. They went straight away to Auschwitz, and yes, they didn't survive. It's only one brother. I have one brother who is 1.5 years younger than me, and he's in the United States, in New York. So
what do you remember about when the Germans came in?
when the Germans came in, I was on the way to Budapest. And I get a telegram. That time it was a telegram, not the phone. Telegram, don't came because Germans came into Budapest. I was on my way to go to Budapest the same day to meet a friend there. And we was working together. And he said me, don't come because the Germans are already in Budapest. So I stayed at home in Ungvar. And in Ungvar it was not so easy. It was, the only thing it was, I had a friend, and I was together, and we said we will live as non-Jewish people. And so it was. And the Jewish people, when the Germans come in, have to go with a star, Magen David, is a yellow star, that we are Jewish. And then we said, in Slovakia, Hitler gave part of the Ungvar, where I was born, to Hungarian, and Slovakia was independent. So in Slovakia, they started to send the Jewish to Auschwitz earlier than in Hungarian. So I said to my friend, and then was Judenrein. Slovakia was Judenrein, so it was not so dangerous to be as a non-Jew in Slovakia because the Jewish already was sent to Auschwitz. So I said to my friend, we are going during a night, I know the way to come by street to Slovakia. We are going there to live as a Jew. So we went, and we went there, but we went there, we took the yellow star the way. On the way was somebody, a non-Jew, so went with police, and he said, stop, where are you? So he was running away. He was running away, I could run better. So I ran away because it was dark. That time it was not allowed to be the light because it was the war. But they get this, my friend, get him the friend and was meeting him and where are you friend? Because they saw it was 2 people. He said, yeah, I was alone. Because he understood that they didn't find me. He said, I was alone. And they were beating him, the police, a whole night. And then they put him in the lager, where the Jewish were, in the camp. So I have to go in and to take him out from the lager. So I went in, I met him there, and I told him, he said, Shmuel, I don't want to escape anymore. You could understood how much they were beating me a whole night. He said, only to start, who was the other one? Women. And I said all the time I was alone. I don't know, maybe you said somebody, but I don't know anybody. I was alone, he said. He said, I told him, we have to escape once again. He said, I should tell you something. The Russian army is already near Warsaw. They don't can send us to Auschwitz because the Russians are soon coming. So I don't want to escape anymore. I don't want to get once again so many beating me as I did. So he said, no, I must go. And I went because they were taking out not many people, some people, to take all the Jewish homes, to clean it and to find the jubilee or something and to give it to the Germans. There was so I told him, we must escape. He said, I don't want to escape anymore. He did not survive.
He didn't survive.
He didn't survive. And I was alone. And I said, I must. I didn't. And my father also told me. In the beginning, I thought that my father, I had elder brothers and sisters who were married with children. I said, I was the older one, so I was alone. I said to my parents, I wanted to be with you to help you. So my father told me, if you don't go away or to do everything to survive, I will throw out you.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a bit hard. I was, if you don't go alone, I throw you out. Because he said, we was living our life, what will do us, we lived already. And so I went away and I survived. And my best friend didn't survive. Because
and Shmuel, you went to Slovakia? You escaped to Slovakia? You went to...
I went to Slovakia because in Slovakia was already Judenrein. It was the Jewish people was already sent to Auschwitz. So I went there, and there I had a sister who lived there. And my sister who lived in Slovakia, her best friend was a policeman's wife. They was very close friends. And always, because he was a police, he knew when they are going searching to Jewish. Because they didn't send all the Jewish away at once, because they had the Jewish people had all businesses, all kind of things to do, and they couldn't do it without the Jewish people. So was a kind of Jewish people who become extra
permit.
Yes,
special permit.
to stay away, because to learn up the non-Jewish people
They were
how to manage
And
everything.
your sister's friend, she wasn't Jewish, the policeman's wife.
You know, and she wasn't Jewish, she was the wife of a police. So always knew, she told her they are going to search to take the Jewish people. So they take my sister in there, her husband, and they had a child to them. And
They hid them.
Yeah, to this police. And they also survived.
And which town was it in Slovakia?
It's like Prešov.
Is it near Pittsburgh?
Rabbi Lowe was once, his father was rabbi in Prešov, Slovakia.
No.
No.
No, yes. No, after the war. But it was like long ago.
And your sister, did you spend time with your sister? Were you with your sister in Slovakia?
In Slovakia, yes. In Slovakia, and we all, because her friend was the wife of a policeman, so we knew always before they are going to take Jewish. So at that time we went to them, and so we survived.
And what happened to your parents and your
parents? They were sending them to Auschwitz straight away. And they were straight away. About my parents said, "You must survive. So do everything to survive. What will be with us will be, but you have to survive." And so I survived. They took my brothers and sisters with children straight away to Auschwitz.
And what were you doing in Slovakia? Did you manage during the time you were hiding?
I should tell you something. It was no problem because it was Jewish people who was very rich. And they had a lot of money. If I needed money, I had the money to say I need so much. I had money so much they want, because they could not do anything with the money. So they gave me money. Money was enough. It was no problem, because the Jewish people took out the money, and they had with money was thinking they can always do something to survive. So there's no problem. If I needed money, I had money. And you know what it was? It was very interesting. Once I lived afterwards in a village. It was near the skog.
Forest.
Near forest. So always, and we was 3 families there in the forest. I was not married. They was already married, 3 families, wife and husband. And so because I was not, and I was, Baruch Hashem, very healthy, very strong, so I went always, they was in the forest, and they built it so, say if you stood there 10 meters, you didn't see them. It was like, so in a hill.
In a cave.
And we was taking trees and build a wall and a door. And during the day, it was in the winter, it was a lot of snow and everything. So during the day, never made any, because it was very cold, and never was any fire. Only when it was dark already, we made a salad, and it was terrible. But we had everything to cut trees, and we made it so we could sleep. Half of the people was sleeping, and half of the people was during the night was by the fire to warm up a little. And after the half night, so it was changing. So the half were to sleep, and they sat by the fire. During the day, it was so interesting. So once the Germans, it was not allowed to anybody to go to the forest. If they find somebody in the forest, the Germans shoot them without anything. But it was one Jewish, also a friend, a family. They looked as non-Jewish, tall, blonde, everybody blonde, and they speak only, the Jewish people, and mostly spoke Yiddish. But this family is in Slovakia, it was noble, they speak German. So with this family, it was the Germans came to the forest and they find them. And they didn't know, they take the Germans, oh, you are friend, oh, we are going with you, you come, we survive because the Russians are coming, we come to the forest, we escape the Russians. The Russians are, they said, we are in this part of Hungary, where the Russians are there, we run away from the Russians, and what about you come, so you take us with us. No, we can't do it. The army can't take anybody. And they really said, what shall I do? You have to survive in the forest by your own. You can't come away with us. It was Jewish people.
Amazing.
Yes.
Sure.
It was very interesting.
Father, you can tell them a little about anti-Semitic acts in your hometown before the war.
Before the war,
How many people were Jewish and how many people were not Jewish in your town?
I was born in Ungvar. Ungvar had 35,000 inhabitants. Of these 35 was 8,000 Jewish people. Because most of the non-Jewish people are living in the Kfarim.
in the villages
Yes.
Around the town.
around. And did you ever have any anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic?
Any Jewish?
Were any of the non-Jews? Did they ever? Were they anti-Semitic? Were they very?
Anti-Semitic. It was, it was not so. They didn't fly. They was going with the train, and in the train I was going. I had false papers that I'm not Jew. Always, everybody was speaking about the Jewish.
But when you were younger, when you were much younger,
I was about 20.
No, but before.
Yes.
As a school, when you were in school.
In school.
Yes, I will explain.
No, that's good.
Okay,
That's
okay.
good.
He wants to know, pappa, han vill veta hur det var innan, om det fanns antisemiter innan, när ni slogs med Goyim inuti. Så han vill veta hur det var, om det fanns antisemitism i Ungvar innan kriget. Okej.
Well, yes. First of all, I have to say, mostly Jewish people are living in the cities. The non-Jewish people are living in the Kfarim.
Outside the village.
Outside the city. So from 35,000 citizens in Ungvar was 8,000 Jewish people. And the Jewish people were mostly religious. So when I survived, I lived as a non-Jew. So I asked, we was going in the train once, and everybody was talking about the Jewish people. The Jewish, it's a fault of the Jewish people because we don't have this and don't have this. So I told one other non-Jewish people, how can you recognize a Jew? How do you know who is a Jew? So he told me, you know how I know who is a Jew? I'm seeing somebody is going and looking around him, so not to see any police or somebody, so I know he is a Jew. So it's very good to know. I told him, I know. So I will know who is a Jew, who is not a Jew. So he didn't believe that I was not a Jew. I said that I was a Jew. He didn't believe. He said, if you see somebody who is looking around, you know he is a Jew.
But when you were growing up, when you were a young child, did you ever have any of the non-Jews?
Always. זה ידוע שעשו שונא ליעקב. Because what it was, I went to school, it was so that from the surrounding, they came to Ungvar to go to the schools, young people, small people. But it was in the afternoon, these people who was living in Ungvar, they went in the afternoon because it was dark early, so they had to go in the afternoon to school. And it was somebody, because I had payers there, some always when he saw me, he said, "You smradla běžit a the Jew, I think,
a dirty Jew.
A dirty Jew.
A dirty Jew. And I always gave him my coat. I was stronger. So he didn't tell anything. When he was far away, dirty Jew, he got me. And I was running after him and I was beating him. I was always very strong. So he was waiting. When he was far away, he's to me dirty Jew. So it was always something. But Baruch Hashem, and I was very, very strong. We was these three families who was in the forest. I was, because we didn't know how long we will survive. So we said always, because I had in a village near the forest a room, it was mine, I paid for it, and I was said I am going to work in the city, but I was going to the city to buy livsmedel,
Food.
to eat, and I was going with them. The next morning, I was going out from my room that I had when it was still dark, and I came up with them to them and gave them the food that I was bought. And next day I was coming down when it was started to be dark, so nobody saw me. It was not allowed to go to the forest. If the Germans find somebody in the forest, they were shooting them without anything. Once we went to the forest and they are coming, it was very interesting because we was inside and not far away, because we made our place in the forest a place where it was water, because without water you can't live. Not far away from the water. And once we were sitting, the Germans came to the place and was going past the way 5-6 meters from us. And it was somebody, an older Jew. He already, he said, it was finished. And the Germans, with dogs, they went and they didn't find us.
A miracle.
Yes,
a real nice. Wow.
That's a miracle, really.
Sure.
With dogs, and they didn't find us.
Wow.
And we were seeing them, and we were thinking it is already. Once I went always down to the village and was buying food to have for us, because we said we have to buy food, but we don't know how long I can go there to buy food. And I bought food, and always with 40 kilo on my bag, I went there. And always when I come down, because I was not a Jew, I took with me a friend, also from these people, to help me to. And we was going in the morning, we were going to the Glassman, where you can't have a drink, because I was a guy, so I have to drink with them. And I went, and I sit in this Glassman with a
pub.
Yeah. We still drink vodka or something. And one came to me, one of the villagers who know me, "You know what it has happened yesterday?" He said, "No, what happened?" The Germans went to the forest and seeking people, Jewish people and so on. and they find somebody, I ask him, I went to, I'm not a Jew. I don't know, but I really, I know they went, and it was very interesting because it started to fall snow down. And in the snow down, I didn't know skiing. So somebody come with me. I bought 2 pair of skis, and he will learn me to go to the snow, because if it will be snow, it's 2-3 meters snow. So you can't, if you can't go, so you can't reach us. So I said, okay. So I went down to the city, and somebody told me, you know what it was yesterday? No, what was yesterday? The Germans went to the forest and to seeking many Jewish people or somebody there. And so I asked him, and they find some Jewish people? He said, I don't know. So it was so. And I took with me, just this day, I took with me somebody to help to take care of food. And she said, we are not going, I must go up. Maybe they find all the family, So, okay, and he told me, can you take me there? I don't want to buy any food anymore. I wanted to go to see how they are. And they said, I said, I know a way. I am going up to the hill, and I'm going in the middle of the hill is the place. So I'm going up to see how it is. And we came down, and we was up there where the people was, and we didn't hear anything, any voice. So he said, and we was afraid to go inside there, because maybe there is some German there, and they are shooting us. So we was up on the top, and we didn't hear anything. And in the evening, they started to make a fire, and so we come down, and they was sure as the Germans find us, and we was not alive. So they were not doing anything during the day there. And when we came there, it was a Simcha Gedolah.
It's a big celebration. Wow.
Yes. It was really a nest. They went with dogs, and they didn't find
It's a miracle, really a miracle, sure.
Yeah.
And, Shmuel, can I ask, do you remember when the war ended? Do you remember when...
When the war ended?
Yeah.
So I was, during this time, I had a room by non-Jewish people, and she had 2 daughters. Her husband also died, and his elder daughter had somebody, and the younger brother, because I was living there, so I was a non-Jew, so I went with her. And she wanted me to marry her. So I said, I can't marry her now when it is war, because maybe they are taking me to the army. I said I had papers, false papers, that I get soldat.
Oh, you were wounded.
I was wounded, because when you was wounded, you can't be what year at home. So I had false papers. I was wounded during the war, and so I am on really free there. So, but for now, I wanted to tell you.
It's near the
war.
Near the end of the war.
Yeah, it was the end of the war. So I was once near this place. So I said, oh, I am going, it was half a year afterwards, I'm going to visit these people. I went to these people, so she told me, no, the war is over, you can marry me, my daughter. So I told her, I am a Jew.
Wow.
And she didn't want to believe it. Yes, you are a Jew, but give me your address. So I gave her an address. I was thinking that she believed me. And she came, after 2 days, she came with her daughter. And she said, I was thinking you was a Nazi, so you to survive, you say you are a Jew. I didn't believe you that you were a Jew. But when she saw I was a Jew, I had a Jewish home, and so didn't come anymore. Yes.
And what did you do after the war? When the war ended?
Yes.
Did you go back to Ungar?
I was in Slovakia because I had a sister who lived in Slovakia. So I was there, I was working.
And when did you hear about your family? What happened? When did you hear what happened to your family?
We know about it. Everybody knows about it.
At the end of the war?
During the war. We were about 10 people together, and once somebody gets sick, and what shall you do? You have to go now. So I go no, you have false papers, maybe to go to him. He went, never heard anything about him. They were thinking he had a Brit Mila. They knew they were Jewish. When they are seeking Jewish, they have to do this, then see that they're not a Brit Mila.
So Shmuel, can I ask, when did you find out what happened to your family? Was it during the...
We knew about it. We heard about it all the time.
All the time, even
yes.
While you were hiding?
Somebody was always had connections, and we knew about it all the time.
I must have been
They
very...
knew if to find me, straight away.
But Father, you can tell them about your home when you were coming home, and your bakery, who had the bakery and who was in the home, your home, when you came
when
back.
When you returned to Ungar.
Yes. I don't remember what.
Alltså, jag vill att du ska berätta när du kom hem att Goyim hade tagit över huset och bageriet och allting som ni hade gömt, och de skulle lämna över kiddushbägarna och ljusstakarna, att det var Goyim som hade tagit allting.
Oh, just det. When I came back home to our home, to our bakery, was somebody already living there. Not only this, I was going with another friend from the same city, with him together after the war, and we were seeking. We came into one place, and he said, where he was living, he said in his place, his tables, everything, all the furniture, and I was living there. And the first time we was there, so it was okay. When we come next day with somebody else also to show you your home, they didn't want to leave us in. They
wouldn't open the door.
Yeah, to the door. And the same was with our bakery also. Somebody take it and was not allowed to come in.
Wow. And how long did you stay in Ungar, or did you leave?
I stayed yes, a little time. I don't remember now.
Du väntade på att alla de som hade överlevt skulle komma.
Oh, just det. No. How I came to Sweden.
No, but you tell them that you were waiting. You didn't know exactly who survived and not survived. So you were waiting at home to see who will come home and who will not come home.
Yes.
And then I will just repeat for my father a little bit so you remember. So the communists had come, and you decided to leave because the communists were now in your hometown. The Russians were coming.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
And who came home from the family?
From the family, I have a younger brother.
And he came back?
Yes. he is still living in the United States.
And where was he
And
during the
another
war?
sister who survived Bergen-Belsen also.
Sure.
And it was the two sisters together in Bergen-Belsen. But one sister, the Americans came.
And she unfortunately.
So then the other sister survived.
And where was your brother during the war?
My brother during the war, he went. They took the Jewish people. The Hungarian army took the Jewish people because it was Mokshim. Så under jorden.
Under the earth, what, in the cave or what?
Det var sånt som man trampade på dem, det sprängdes den i luften.
A mine.
It was mines. And they took the Jewish people always, the Hungarian army, and they sent the Jewish people
to look for the
first. If it is
exploding,
mines,
then they will die.
They will die. And my brother, the younger brother, came, and suddenly I said, a Russian army soldier. So he went to him, and he was a Jew. So he spoke Yiddish with him. So he stand with the Russian army, and then he came back because he spoke many languages, Hungarian, Yiddish, Germany, and I don't Czechoslovakia, Czech, and they took him to the
called prepare food. To the bakery, baking in.
Yes, hur hände underrättelsetjänsten var det ryska. Ryska.
To the secret service or.
To the Russian army, so all the Germans they took. Because he spoke so many languages, so he came
to interrogate.
Yes, interrogate. Yes, so he came back as a Russian officer.
This was your younger brother.
Yes, younger brother. He's 1.5 years younger than me. He's living in New York.
And how did you end up going to Sweden?
To Sweden, because it was so. They said that from Sweden are they going boat to the United States, and we wanted to the United States. So we have to go to Sweden. So we went from Hungary to Sweden and to find the boat, and I was thinking that I'm going to work on a boat, so I'm going to the United States, and then I ran away from this boat. And so I came to Sweden. I came to Sweden. It was very dangerous to take work on a boat because there was war and they were spraying the boats in the air.
But you can tell them a story about you had already a brother in Sweden. You had already a Mickey.
My brother was in Sweden because he wanted to go to the United States. So he heard about this from Sweden going both to the United States. So he went there, and then I went also there. So we were thinking of working on a boat who's going to the United States. So we will go to the United States.
Is this the brother that's in?
No, it was another brother.
Another brother.
You can tell them the story. Your other brother escaped because he was already had a girlfriend who sent to America.
It was my elder brother. My elder brother, her fiancé, get a visum to United States. So he said to her, do you go to the United States and I will come after you. She get an affidavit to the States. So go there and I'm coming after you. So, and we heard about that are going boats from Sweden to the United States. So we went to Sweden. That was the reason we went to Sweden.
Oh, okay. And the older brother, he remained in Sweden?
The other brother, no, it was
Micke var kvar I Sverige.
What?
Micke var kvar I Sverige.
Yeah, my older brother is living still in Sweden.
No.
Nej, vänta,
No.
who was it?
Okay.
I think we take a rest a little bit because
Okay.
no,
So we near the... Okay.
you want something to drink, Father? You want something?
It was in London was a Czech government in London
During the war.
and during the war, and the Czech government paid money to all the social democrats to came to
escape.
to the United States. And the Social Democrats, my brother was not a Social Democrat, but I had a good friend who was a Social Democrat, so he taught him everything about the Social Democrats. And so because the Czech government, Social Democrats, paid money to take out them to Sweden, and he was one of the 14 people who were Social Democrats, but he was never a Social Democrat. But he learned everything about it, how to be, because one of his friends was a Social Democrat, and so he went to Sweden.
He were allowed to stay in Sweden during the war.
And so he said, yes, he stayed to Sweden during the war. And it was so long ago, I've forgotten everything.
You're amazing, Shmuel, you're amazing.
And I never told anybody about it, so I didn't remember everything. We wanted to go to Australia, because we said in that time the Russian Stalin want more and more and more lands to be communist. And I said, it will be the Hungary and Czechoslovakia, everything will be communist. I wanted to go to Australia. To Australia, I wanted to go because Australia is so far away. So there
no Nazis, no communists.
I said that. And
you went to Paris.
I went to Paris, yes, I went to Paris. And I had also a big, everything what I had to send to Australia. And in Paris, they asked me, and it was only to go from Paris with a boat. And they said me, what do you have here? And they had a big
suitcase.
loader, not a suitcase,
a box.
Of a box of 3. And they have to take out everything, and they was thinking that it was double, and the
They didn't smuggle anything.
Yes.
But
and
you were not allowed to go to Australia. You didn't get a visa.
No, we didn't
and your
get
sister
the visa.
and brother got a
Yes.
visa. You explain why.
Yes, and I didn't get a visa, so
Why didn't you get a visa?
I don't remember.
Because you were not married.
Oh,
If you were to be married,
The boys had to be married. Girls, they wanted. They had enough of
yes, no, I remember. Yes,
You know,
it was a lot of Jewish girls who went to Australia, but not boys.
Boys were already, because they were Irish escapes, prisoners who were...
No, it was boys who was there, a lot of boys,
Yeah.
and not girls. So girls get allowed to come to Australia, but not boys. And,
So you didn't get a visa, and you had a brother in Sweden who said, remember?
Yes,
And he said to you, you should come to Sweden because he doesn't want to be alone until you find a wife.
yes. Yes, no, I remember, yes. And there I met my wife. And my wife was born in Germany, and they went from Germany to Czechoslovakia. Then come the Germans to Czechoslovakia, so as they escaped to Norway, and then the Germans come to Norway, so as she escaped to Sweden, and in Sweden we met. So we married in Sweden.
And what year were you married? What year were you married? In which year?
What?
Vilket år gifte du dig?
Vilket år?
52.
52, yes. 1952. 54.
54.
I don't remember.
Förlåt mamma.
Wow. And
Never somebody asked me, so I don't
but it's
remember.
amazing. Shmuel, it's incredible. And did you work in the bakery when you were in Sweden?
When I was in Sweden,
Because
Papa,
it is such a great honor and a privilege to have Shulamit together with Shmuel. And you both got married in Stockholm. It must have been a very, very special wedding. Survivors. And your parents were at the chasana?
Yeah.
And Shmuel, you had your brother was there as well at your wedding?
Your brother was by with the wedding, yes, with his wife. Yes.
It must have been very emotional and a very special celebration.
And you know how it was? In Sweden, the Jewish people went so up. And when they asked me what I was an immigrant. An immigrant, so I am not an immigrant, I am Shmuel. So I was thinking, and the Jewish people, girls, didn't even want to talk to me. I was an immigrant. It was so that time.
A refugee.
So I said to me, I'll never marry a Jewish girl from Sweden. And the first time I met her, so the first time I will ask her, are you born here? And she said, no, I think in Germany. It's okay. And so we went, and so afterwards we get married. Because it was so that Swedish Jewish girl didn't want even to talk to me. I am an immigrant.
It was the same when you went dancing. They didn't want to dance with you. They were asking how you have made it home, how much money, where are you living. It was awful. It was awful.
So as refugees, you weren't very welcomed by the Jewish community in Sweden?
No.
Oy, that's so sad.
It was very hard, yes. Yes.
Tell them a story about Matzot, for example.
Matzot. You know, I wanted to go to Australia. So I was a friend of mine in Sweden. We spoke Yiddish. It was very interesting with this fellow. I came to shul by Shabbat, and I was in the back in the shul. And somebody came to me, he said to me, Yiddish, you are a Krakower in Krakow. So no, I'm not from Krakow. Then you are from Tarnopol, and they said something like this. No, I'm from Czechoslovakia. Oh, it was Shmuel. I said, okay, who are you? So he told me, we was learning in the same yeshiva in Belz. And he recognized me. I didn't recognize him because he was also without a beard. At that time in Belz, I was a beard with bias. And he recognized me. And so we get friends afterwards.
No, you wanted to talk about the matzot.
Yeah, about the matzos. What was the matzos? I was thinking I'm going to Australia. And I didn't get the papers to Australia. Well, I had already my sister and her husband in Australia. So we was together, so I wanted to go afterwards. And they are talking to me. They said to me, we are coming to Australia, we send you papers and you are coming after. And There are papers that didn't get it. So my brother-in-law, he was thinking it's like in Czechoslovakia, they have to give money. So he took 100 shekel or something and give him and said that said he give me the permission to come to Australia. And this fellow took the 100 money and put it there, and he was writing. They wanted to give me money to give a permit, so I don't give any permit. And
A
bribery, yes. And so I couldn't get, and he was thinking it was not enough. So he went with more money, and he bribed to more money to get bribery. And so I didn't get the permission to go to Australia.
So in Sweden, they have one day you can buy the matzot.
Yes.
The Jewish community.
And because I had a friend who was talking Yiddish, so he said to me, I'm going to buy matzahs to Pesach. Okay, I'm going with you. And we was going, and I didn't buy because I was thinking I'm going to Australia, I'll be in Australia. So I didn't buy, but I spoke Yiddish. And this who sold matzahs, he was so angry that we spoke Yiddish. Said, and afterwards I didn't get my papers, so I had to stay here. So I went to buy matzahs with money. He said, you have been here for 2 weeks ago, why didn't you buy matzahs over? So I said, I will be in Australia. I was on my way, but I didn't get my papers. So I say I will stay here, so I have to buy matzah. He said, no matzahs. So what will you want me to eat bread on Pesach?
Bread.
It's not my business what you are eating. You are eating what you will. So
this was a Yiddish
he didn't want to sell me matzahs for money because I was speaking Yiddish.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was.
It was terrible. I said,
There's
I
a word,
went,
a trick like
that I went with my friends who spoke Yiddish, and he told me, you know, it's the Shiksa who are working in the Jewish community. She's very good at the Jewish. So we went to her, to the Shiksa. We went to her, and I told her my story. So okay, I'll phone you so you can get the headmasters. So I don't want to go to somebody who didn't want to sell me matzah on Pesach because I was speaking Yiddish.
Unbelievable.
So this Shiksa said, I'm going to buy for you matzahs. And she went down and bought matzahs, and so I told her, and I said, I don't want to go to this fellow who told me that it's not my business what you are eating on Pesach.
This is very sensitive history in Sweden.
It's very young.
Yeah.
So when
I remember the evening when I went dancing, and they treated me like I don't know. Yeah.
And the same I said, I will never marry a Swedish Jewish girl. And when first I met her, I asked her, are you born here in Sweden? No, in Germany. Okay.
It's amazing. And can I ask, you both started working in the bakery, and you had your own bakery?
I helped him in the beginning, yes.
And you worked with your brother as well?
No, then he had a shop alone, and he was baking, and afterwards he took it out in the town to the different bakers when it was ready, and I helped him to with smaller things. Then I got pregnant. I helped him in the beginning, but then
then I bought another bakery.
Then I got a baby, and I didn't help him anymore. No.
But you enjoyed baking?
It was my father the bakery. I was growing up in a bakery, so I knew everything.
And how did you bake? They say you bake for the King of Sweden.
So the King of Sweden, it was later on.
Yes.
Yes, it was later on. I shall tell you something. I made something with butter. It was very more difficult to bake with butter, and then I made some thing very big one from baked, and with a picture of the King of Sweden, and somebody. And I had afterwards a bigger bakery, and somebody came and saw it. It was from the king. And said, oh, if His Majesty will see it, he will be very thankful. So I take it and make it and send it him. And then I get a letter from the king and thanking me for that I was doing it. It was very interesting. I put it on the wall in my shop. One day
It
it disappeared because it was a hand scriven from the king. And
somebody took it.
somebody was stolen.
The king never paid. It was a lot of people.
But it's a big honor.
They
It's a
wanted,
big honor.
Yes.
And you also did for the Nobel Prize.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Nobel Prize. Then dinner. Still today, the same baker is delivering it.
The same bakery.
Yes.
That is.
And he was working like, I don't know what.
I was working once.
I had to go alone for holidays with 4 children and such things. He didn't have time. He was working.
And the bakery still exists today?
Still exists today.
Yes.
Are there any family members involved
no.
in the bakery?
And not only this, I get, because the bakery place was mine, and I get paid.
Wow.
No.
And
Still, it is very famous bakery.
Yeah. So they pay us
Yes.
every month rent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rent of the place.
what was the name of the bakery?
Tösse.
Tösse. It's also it's a place in Sweden. Tösse.
Yes, it's Tösse.
Yeah, I think
And who started it was from Tösse. So Tösse Bageri, Tösse Bakery.
And when did you decide to come to Israel?
Our children, our son, our eldest son, Ronnie, when he had finished school, he went to work in a kibbutz, and he wrote to us, "I'm not coming back. You can make something of my room. I don't need it anymore because I'm staying in Israel." He was 19. So also we long very much. I never felt at home in Sweden, because also I am looking different than the Swedish people, and I never felt at home. They never let us feel at
Did
home.
you ever have Swedish friends?
I had a lot of Swedish friends. I had everything, but most of them was Jewish friends. I didn't have Goyish friends. No. And but I went to a Goyish school.
We had one friend, han den läkaren.
Yeah, we had one friend. Yes.
No, one friend, Swedish, a neighbor, but he was also a friend. He was always inviting us. And when I said I didn't eat what was not kosher, so she asked me. She asked me, "What are you eating?" They did everything so we can eat it.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yes, they were really.
They go, but the Jewish when they invited me in Sweden, you can eat this and this. So there was other things you can't eat it because it was not kosher.
Yeah, so we never felt at home really.
No.
Yeah.
And your son, he stayed here?
What?
Your son, your eldest son, he stayed on the kibbutz?
He stayed for kibbutz, yes, sometime, and he made the army. And they were parents, and took care of him. They were really beautiful people. And yes, he loved to be here.
Because
Yes.
he was without parents.
I don't
So
know.
family.
Oh yes, 1 year he was in Sweden, like
Sharia.
study.
Shaliach, yeah.
Yes, otherwise he didn't go to Sweden. No, he loves to go be in Israel. Yes,
But you had other son
yeah.
who have Frederick, who died, and then you decided to move to Israel.
He made the army, and after the army he went to Hodo to do.
Like everybody went to Hodu, and we
Yeah.
get know everything. He had the friends to go together. Then in the last minute, the friends say, I'm not going because my parents didn't want to let me go. So he said, I'm going alone. He's going alone, and he went to a place what with 300 years before was the living people there, and everything is like it was. And it was very hot, it was 52 degrees. It was very hot. And
We don't know what happened.
we don't know really what
We
happened,
really
but
don't know
they
what
find
happened.
him afterwards, and on the way to the hospital was 40 kilometers from this place, and when on the way he died. To the
We
hospital.
were very lucky. Lucky, yeah. They found his body, and they said
Yes.
he's here buried in
In
Israel.
Jerusalem, Har HaMenuchat. They took
Yeah,
him home.
this is
Yes,
Yeah.
it was somebody there. It was in Hodu, in India, and we
helped us.
we knew somebody was living here who was from there, and they asked the community there to send him here.
And then did you decide to make Aliyah soon after?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yes,
then, so how long have you been in Israel?
many years.
Many years now, but
Since
in the beginning,
They are 70.
in the summer, I went back to Sweden and was working, and
And it was so, we was, אנחנו חייבים in the summer when it was very hot here, we went to Sweden, and in the winter when it was cold in Sweden, we went to come to
So you
Israel.
had the best, but did you feel at home in Israel?
yes,
Very much.
Yeah.
More than so in Sweden.
yes. I don't have to talk. I don't have to tell them I'm Jewish. I'm there, like I really feel at home. I tell you, we meet a lot of beautiful people. Our neighbors are very, very nice to us, and yeah.
So Shmuel, I just want to mention, you've gone through so much in your life. So much.
Yes.
And you were a kippah, and your imunah, did you
Yes.
always keep your imunah?
I was my parents were very orthodox.
And you always kept your belief in Hashem, and you always kept your imunah.
Always, yeah, yes.
Without is no life.
And you managed to escape from your family from
Yeah.
Germany, and
Yeah.
your family remained from?
Tradition, not
Traditional,
so.
okay.
I got more from since I married him. Yes.
I was orthodox.
And if I can ask, what message do you both give to your children and the grandchildren?
Yeah.
Vad var frågan nu?
Vad är ditt budskap till dina barn och barnbarn?
Love. To try to understand, even if you don't understand, and to give them everything what I can do, and to listen to them, to have time to listen to them.
So she told me, never go to sleep when you are angry with me. You have to have shalom.
Yeah.
So, Ken and Hori, you've been married.
So many years now.
It's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yes,
so wonderful
wonderful.
to see
We are
this.
very lucky, yes, that we have each other. I'm not so healthy as now, and it's good. We are together.
Yes.
I just went and if you can,
Yeah.
it's
You want
just
me to sit or?
yeah in the
I take a chair.
I'm just so incredible. No, Shmuel, I also want to thank you. I'll come in as well.
I don't know. You want something to tell him about why he is mentioned in the Jerusalem Prize? His engagement in the gymnastics, what he's believing, his whole life.
So Shmuel, if you could as well, or...
Varför har du blivit nämnd för Jerusalempriset? Att du tycker att du alltid hållit igång med idrott, att det är viktigt att lära andra.
Varför jag blev... Aha.
Med hälsosamt liv, att du tycker att det är en stor mitzvah, att du kan hjälpa andra att göra detta.
He's also going to be nominated, you have been nominated for Yakir Yerushalayim. That is a distinguished citizen of Yerushalayim.
No, yes.
Yeah.
I decided.
Vänta, sätta på. So you decided when you came here that you wanted to give something back?
I decided I'm going to early pension to came to Israel because I was always made gymnastics, and gymnastics made me that I would always feel healthy. So I decided I'm going to early to pension to came to Israel to make gymnastics with the people voluntarily and to make the Jewish people to be strong, healthy, wealthy and wise. I always said, first of all, I'm going early to bed, early to rise, make them healthy, wealthy and wise.
It's wonderful.
So I said, I'm going to Israel and to do gymnastics with people without money, without money, voluntarily, to be healthy and don't take any medicine. I said, the best medicine is exercise, is the best medicine. No medicine. I never took any medicine. I don't take any medicine. I've never been sick.
Baruch
It
Hashem.
was the only thing it was a motorbike went in me. And they went over me. I was weak, without conscience. I couldn't breathe during the mouth. They made a hole here.
Tracheostomy.
Yes, just to, yes.
But Baruch Hashem, you look so well. It's,
Baruch Hashem, but I never was without gymnastics. And until today, every morning, I'm going up 5:30 in the morning, I'm going to the balcony, 1 hour gymnastics.
it's wonderful.
Yes. And that make me healthy. And I'm doing not, that is in the morning. That during the days, I'm going to walk here in Beit HaKerem, 1 or 1.5 hours I'm going walking. With a halichon, but I'm going.
It's wonderful.
And, yes. Then I'm coming home, we are eating, I go to sleep, and afterwards I'm going out on the Pesach and make gymnastics again. And this was the only thing, I said this is the best thing to do, gymnastics. Wow. This is the best medicine. And I don't take any other medicine.
Before he made it for all the other people. And now he makes
before
it.
He
makes it.
I made it voluntarily here,
yes.
With other people, without money, voluntarily.
You were the leader. You started the
Yes,
wow.
he had different groups, and they went every day. He had some place to go to, and he went when the weather was bad and when the weather was good. He always went, and
Yes.
It was very important for him.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
So I just want to thank you. I'm going to...
Du kan ta bort din om du vill det, eller? You want to sit behind?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Or here, or it's too wide?
This is wonderful. And and I just want to thank you as well. It's been really, thank you so much. You've been such a tremendous help. And you here especially you live in Sweden.
I live in Sweden still. But one day I hope I will make the same as my parents.
Yes, I miss him too much.
So if I can take the chair for a minute.
Yes, sure.
So I just want to thank you both.
Yes.
This has been for me the greatest honor and privilege to be with you both. It really is, and there are no words. I am so grateful, and I'm very grateful to Steve Lindy from the Jerusalem Post and the Jerusalem Report. And there's going to be a wonderful article about you in the Jerusalem Report.
Yes.
So, and I'm very grateful for having this opportunity just to hear the story and to hear the miracles, and thank God, and to meet you both, such a happy married couple, and it's just wonderful to see that you're both here in Israel with your family, and to meet your son. It's been a big blessing for me, and I'm extremely grateful. And I think the top is that you were nominated, and please God, you will be. It's called Yakir Yerushalayim. It's a very, very, very distinguished. Yakir is a very dear of Jerusalem.
Yes. It is a great honor.
So I would normally say Admei Vesrim till 120, but even more than 120, in good health and happiness, and just nachas from your dear family. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so extremely grateful.
We thank you. You also a special person, and really, you are very special also.
It's lovely. Thank you very, very much. So this is the picture on your wedding day.
Yes.
What a beautiful, lovely couple. What a beautiful zug. Such a lovely picture. Oh. May you only have nachas and mazal and bracha. It's wonderful.
Amen.
Here we're showing a picture of my father here and his sister, older sister, whose name was Esther, and she lived in Sydney, Australia, and she became 99 years old.
Wow.
So then we have a picture here. I want to show that we survived from Hitler. Here's my father, my older brother, his son, and his son.
It's 4 generations.
4 generations.
And this is really the revenge.
Yeah. And they live in Israel all. And this is revenge. Hitler didn't succeed. We survived. And then we have a picture of my son when he got married. He lives in Bnei Brak with his wife, Hannah. And he's also religious, and it's make me very happy that it continue. The next generation is a family.
This is real nachas.
Yes.
Vad har du SD? Vad heter den? Ilona?
Ilona har vi ingen. I don't find. Jag ska se. Jag didn't find any.
Wow, this is real nachas to have.
It is.
Yes.
No, I cannot find any.
Okay.
And Naftali, tell me, you are doing amazing work being the Rosh of the Chevra Kadisha.
I was. I'm not still.
How many years were you working
12
with Chevra
years.
Kadisha?
12 years.
Wow. What a skut. What an amazing skut.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Jag vill start.
Ja, you can.
Hur var det? Vad ska jag börja med?
About your sister, you were hiding from the Germans, and she got pregnant.
Yeah, I went. First of all, it was one family in when we was in the mountains. They knew that we was something, so we was afraid from the Germans. What they did was snow in the winter, 3-4 meters snow. So in the beginning, we went to make the hole in the snow, and it was always when the Germans were coming to look after something, so we went in, and one of the goyim, he knew that we was afraid of the Germans, so he made it snow from outside. Nobody saw us, and we had something.
And no signs in the snow that someone had been tramping and going walking, so you didn't see any shoes or anything.
I always think so. Nobody was showing, because the snow was 2-3 meters until the top of their houses. And so he was, but then afterwards we saw it was not nice to sit outside in the snow so many times. So he made, because we had a hole in the snow, so we made in this home, we took up the bed and they made a hole under
the floor.
Under the floor, the planks.
We went all the 10 people outside, but it was so strong that I had my feet on the other side axle, and he had and so strong, and we were
You were cramped.
Cramped, exactly. And what happened? Your sister had a baby, a girl.
Yes.
And what was it? One day the Germans were coming, and you went under.
Yes.
You remember? You can continue.
Yes. I don't remember it.
The girl started to scream because how can you tell a newborn not to scream? And they were very afraid that the Germans will find out that it's a baby, with the dogs and everything. So you decided that the girl cannot be together with you inside the house. So you put her in a bag on your back.
Yes.
And went up to the mountain.
Yes.
We're in a cave.
Yes.
So she could scream and nobody will hear it. And you made her survive.
Yes.
And she still lives in Australia. And you saw that she survived. You give her food and such thing, and you will hide her in the cave in the mountain.
Yes. And
you remember?
I remember this, and I remember once I went early in the morning. I came because I went to make shopping, and I wanted to, and I see the Germans on the top of this hill. So I went up, and I went after they come down, and others. Germans come, so they meet each other, so they didn't find anything. And I saw them when they did it, and I went after the Germans. When the Germans come down, I went, but they didn't saw me. And I saw them, and I survived.
And once also you broke your leg in the snow.
Snow, yes.
You went down and wanted to fetch food.
Yes.
But it was so lot of snow, so you broke your leg.
And I had this was also, and I had my talus and tefillin. I had a tree, and I put it under the snow. But during the winter, it was so much snow, and I said, and it was a tree beside the tree, and I saw only the top of the tree. So I was digging down till I find my talus and tefillin. And it was in paper, and it was like new. Yes. Okay. It was a long story, so I've forgotten a lot of things.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Naftali, you mentioned something so unbelievable about the Yeshurun Shul in Hamburg.
I will tell you about the story. It's from Stockholm. During the Kristallnacht, huge shops, the synagogues were destroyed. But one synagogue, the day afterwards, the rabbi went around in Hamburg, a town in northern Germany, and found one synagogue was still intact. It was, I think, on the second floor in a residential building, and nothing had happened to the synagogue. So he decided to put everything down and send it to Sweden as trash. And
It is also because the synagogue was not a special building. It was in a building where when they made the Late Abdullah, they burned all the synagogues, but not this synagogue.
it was a Stiebelach.
Because it was in one building, the Germans also were living. So they don't know. They didn't destroy it because it was other people also living there, or because they didn't know that it was synagogue. Didn't send anything outside.
They sent it out and they cheated the German customer, that it was nothing, and they painted everything over so it looked very old and nothing important, and they rebuilt it in Stockholm.
When did they send it to Stockholm?
After the Kristallnacht. The Kristallnacht went 34.
So 30,
So
38,
a couple of years, I don't know, 35, 36, I don't know exactly the date it came to Stockholm, but they rebuilt it. And it's a very interesting story. It was Arana Kodesh and Bima and everything. And maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they should renovate it. And a Swedish painter found something is under the painting, and it was Jugend paintings. The original from the synagogue was Jugend paintings, and it's a fantastic story. And one of them who went to the synagogue in Hamburg was Kissinger family. The famous Henry Kissinger, who was in United States in the government. His uncle were living in Stockholm, and he came to the synagogue and went to everything. And even Henry Kissinger, when they were in Stockholm, his grandfather went to the synagogue in Hamburg and came and visited.
Wow.
And it's if you're somewhere in Stockholm once, you like to see a synagogue which survived the Kristallnacht, the only one in the world. It's rebuilt in Stockholm.
And they have a minyan, they have...
Yes.
They have a minyan. It's a problem like it is, but every Shabbat, and at least at Monday and Tuesday, is when you read the Torah.
Thursday.
You have a minyan.
So,
When we were there, it was beautiful. It was really like a home, the Beit Knesset. It was, we all felt at home there. Yes.
and was that the shul that you went to?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that shul didn't have such a very close connection with the Jewish community, with the main shul.
We were talking about the common rabbi we know. When he were working in Stockholm, he was not employed by the community. He was employed by the synagogues. We have two Orthodox synagogues in different parts of Stockholm because the synagogues were not, the Orthodox were not involved in the community. Nowadays, the Orthodox is in the community and is getting money from the community, but it's still two words.
So with the Kristallnacht, it was 1938.
38 it was.
Yeah.
Maybe I was
Yeah,
wrong.
38, but it's,
so maybe
it's
it came
amazing.
39 before the war.
It's amazing that they could send it.
Yeah.
And so it survived.
And
So
survived
to
it.
go inside, it's the only shul which has the original
Exactly.
from
And for me, especially when my mother came from Hamburg, it's a great feeling to be the continuation of something which, And I took my bar mitzvah there and everything. So it's
wonderful.
still continue to go there.
It's so wonderful to see how you've kept the Masoret, the tradition, and
Yes.
Yeah.
thank you so much.